Every once in a while, YouTube and Google, as corporations or subsets of each other of Alphabet, will put up requests for information, requests for comment that you already know what they do with them. They ignore them. What they use them for is they come up with a conclusion of what they want the answers to be, and then they ignore any answers that are different because they do not openly publish what the survey was. And the survey or the request for information isn't us voting because we have no right to vote on anything. But it is used for them to say, well, we asked people and they said XYZ. That's why the dislike button's gone. That's why YouTube Shorts is being shoved down our throat because Google and YouTube want to be TikTok, which isn't going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen. It's not happening. And every once in a while, they'll ask you to do an opinion survey. Now, very rarely, if ever, do I respond to these things. Mostly I make fun of them. The best part about them is when they're obviously, it's very obvious they want a certain outcome, and it's whatever the political and ideological flavor of the day is, whatever fashionable or, fashion trend or faux pas, whatever you want to call it, is going on, whatever they want it to be, whatever the latest craze is, they want it to be that. Because they can say, we legitimately had people request this, when that never actually happens. Creator demographic survey is fairly generic sounding. US and UK based channel owners, artists and creators that have to show up that'll do this, that have to answer questions about themselves, presuming they trust Google and YouTube with their gender identity, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation data. Some of this is shit you're not allowed to ask somebody in an interview. All of it should be excluded from an interview, unless it's very, very pertinent, like you're showing up for a part and they need to make sure you at least kind of fit the part. Responses will be confidential and secure. Like Facebook leak and Twitter leak and every other large corporation leaking information. All of them leak information because they don't give a shit about you and me. And it's not leaking when they just sell it. But they sanitize. No, they don't anonymize or sanitize it when they're collecting information about your gender identity, your race or ethnicity, your sexual orientation. I identify as binary. I am a computer-based entity. But do you allow all answers, including the answers you don't want to hear? No, then it's not a survey. You're not trying to find answers. You're trying to find specific answers to justify your preconceived notion and what you want done. We want to understand how various communities, not mine apparently, experience YouTube. You don't give a fuck about it. YouTube has, since April 1st of 2019, had my one permanent strike on my account that will never expire for something they admitted I didn't do, but they left it up as a strike so they could say, we got you one. That way we can put you on our list of shit we're going to critique more. You're not allowed to have a clean record. There has to be one black mark on your record, Lisa. So anyway, let's move on. We want to understand how your communities experience YouTube, but only certain communities. And they're not using a broad sample of the population. They're specifically looking for populations that are considered or self-identify as marginalized or a minority population, which means the majority of us are ignored. That sounds like anti-woke sentiment. No, I'm talking about me having a YouTube channel that debunks conspiracy theories and gets accused of promoting them. Period. I help the system review whether its systems reflect unintentional bias. We've self-investigated and found ourselves to be innocent of all charges. Examine how our algorithms and systems treat content from various communities. You mean debunkers? No, because you don't give a fuck? No, I don't care that this is, but okay, we'll address it. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the majority of YouTube channels. It has nothing to do with what content is up. It has nothing to do with YouTube poop posters, and it's called YouTube poop, shit posters. People who put up random crap that's hilarious. It's a one-shot. You watch it. It might get 1 million views, but it's just funny. That's not a community they care about. They don't care about people who do cover versions of songs because they constantly flag them for copyright violations when it's not. Or flagging me for, at one time, critiquing someone's piece of software that didn't fucking work. Stefan, who overtly tried to hide the fact that he flagged as somebody critiquing his work when everybody else was. I just happened to have a YouTube channel he could find. Stefan. Haughty toddy Stephen. So anyway, understanding how various communities are growing on YouTube. Okay. Identifying potential patterns of abuse, including harassment and hate. How about patterns of behavior that's harassing and hating on from the algorithm, your own bot, that you will not train by correcting it when it's wrong? Again, you leave a complaint on our channels. The first one we ever get that you never remove. It will never expire. So that the channel is marked for deletion or harassment. Is it? No. Then why do you leave it up? What the fuck point is there? And again, it was acknowledged in an email that it was an inappropriate flagging. Like every other flagging? Well, we have to have at least one strike against your account or we can't justify having it marked. That's a red flagging of the channel. Improve our current programs, campaigns, and offerings. You mean you constantly putting up women's soccer tournaments over and over again because you're heavily promoting them to the point that it's a joke. But waptek is sexist. No, I just don't want to watch soccer. How about women's basketball? Just run old reruns of women's basketball. It's a lot more interesting than watching men's basketball because there's more changes that happen. They actually have something going on. Personal opinion, sorry. But soccer? Are you gonna promote the old Duffer golf tournament set? You know, that's what we called it. When Bob Hope was playing, it was fun because he was hilarious when he wanted to be. Really? studio.youtube.com/?D equals SD ampersand SDS equals channel underscore demographics. Select delete data and then select delete when the confirmation window pops up to get rid of this. Do you really trust a mega corporation with gender identity, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation? You're obviously not interested in the default generic boring thing that is me or anybody else like the majority of the population. You want to find people who are outliers to get information from. You do not give a shit. Well, yes, we do. Then overtly say it publicly that we celebrate diversity by also celebrating people who are part of the majority. You know, the majority of people who are actually consuming your content and producing it. But no. It can't be because you've gone out of your way to prove to us over the years that there is a problem you have with generic, boring people like me, and especially debunkers of bullshit. Okay, let's do the rest of the video on an incendiary subject to see if they flag it. What is woke actually referring to? Okay, woke is a very nebulous statement. It doesn't mean anything. It's bordering on just being an insult. In fact, I don't think it even borders on it. It's a slur against someone doing something. But let's talk about how we define it a little differently. We used to call it political correctness. This is political overcorrection. I'm not sure if this is correct, but let's do this. Let's do this. You know, fuck it, we'll do it live. When you go out of your way to appeal to a population that screams the loudest on the internet, does that make things better? In many cases, well, not on the internet, but in general, if a very large portion of the population, it doesn't have to be the majority, is complaining about being screwed over, yeah, listening to them is a good idea. The teeming masses yearning to be free is how you build a country or how you tear it down. It's better to build up. So we end up with the United States being a melting pot rather than the countries that everybody ran from that tried to continue marginalizing them and continue subjugating them. That's what this country is based on. It doesn't matter if you like that. I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear your reimagining. It says, bring me your tired and you're poor, yearning to be free. But no, let's fucking ignore that because that's not America. That's some French person's propaganda on a Statue of Liberty, right? Okay, sure. Or at least associated with it. But let's talk about this. There is a overly whiny population that likes having power over the general population, that does not represent their desires, that screams the loudest, that won't knock it off, that you can never satisfy because their entire business model, and that's what I'm calling it, is to never be satisfied. If you apologize to them, they'll just demand more apologies. They need desperately to be the center of power, and that's the only power they have, and that's cry bullying their way to the top of the shit heap. And these are the people that are usually accused of being the woke crowd. Meanwhile, featuring in Black History Month, prominent people in history that were black isn't being woke. It's called Black History Month. Acknowledging that, yes, DeSantis, you're a fucknut. Acknowledging that enslaving people didn't improve their fucking situation isn't woke. It's called what fucking happened. Labeling shit woke, well, okay, specifically an actual member of the KKK and a neo-Nazi yelling the word woke makes it to where nobody can take that expression seriously. Now, I also want to point out a bunch of YouTubers that dog whistle a bunch of shit like adrenochrome and all sorts of meme words. Don't look it up. You'll be driven insane. When they say, well, I don't believe it, it's just a joke. Yeah, but you keep bringing it up and keep promoting it, so now we know you're lying. Or just overtly say you don't believe any of this shit and stop winking at the camera, acting like that isn't clever. That's you saying, yeah, you're part of that crazy crowd. Don't make jokes about Adolf Hitler like you support the idea of Adolf Hitler coming back from the grave. Real simple, right? You know, Praise Keck was about this online community of a fantasy universe where a frog ran the planet. You know, that was your most anti-woke thing to bring up. Okay. And me doing the expression Fago tree, because that's a much better thing than what it replaced. Are these dog whistles from a neo-Nazi in training or something? No. It's me getting tired of a very tiny, ridiculously tiny portion of the population that literally made it a business model to get cry bully money on the internet by claiming to be subjugated, by going out and picking a fight with someone and only recording it when they were being attacked. That was as simple as it was at one time. It was easily checked because you could find eventually the store clerk video recording of them picking a fight for a half hour and then finally the person saying, leave me alone, and that's an attack. I'm a victim of cry bullying. And some of you are like me, have done that once. I stopped doing it when I was in grade school, but okay. We all know about that one little kid in class, right? But some people don't grow up from it. Okay, that's a tiny portion, I mean a really tiny portion of the population. Unless you're a politician, in which case it's the entire brand for a bunch of them. Anybody who has public access and is publicly known and is famous is going to pull this shit. Just assume it, okay? But when you hear somebody yell, that's people being woke, and I'm sick of woke culture and blah, blah, blah. You have to make them say what it is they're complaining about specifically, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. And then there's this shit where we are tacitly aware of the fact that Google as a corporation, Google, Alphabet, YouTube, whatever they want to call themselves, this corporation does not give a fuck about human beings at all. They give a fuck about money. That's why you can find some really disturbing content on YouTube that isn't going to get taken down. And we know that. But they're not listening to the majority of the people who use the platform who would like not to be fucked over. Like being impersonated or having my channels torn down because someone did that impersonation, or getting hounded for years by someone who eventually went to prison for what I was accused of. For 5 years. By the way, he's out now. Yeah, that thing is out. At least he's being watched and has an ankle collar. Do any of you want to do this demographic survey? The link below lets you do it or delete it if you have any data there. I'm going to delete. You pick. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with it.